Hey Stubborn Yoga fans, welcome to episode 2. We're excited to be back and we're going to go through a routine here. Sarah's going to show me some stuff.
I'm Sarah and this is Adam, and Adam was just telling me how his hips are really tight. You can see he's on 2 cushions and I'm on 1, and even this one that I have is probably more than enough big for me. It's maybe an extra big. But we're going to work on Adam's hips today with a beginning yoga routine, and we're going to start with a little bit of quiet sitting. So Adam, I'm just going to ask you to either lower your gaze towards the floor, and those of you at home participating as well, go ahead, close your eyes or lower that gaze down. So just take a moment to become present. Feel your sit bones and any body areas that are touching the floor, making that connection. Next, bring the awareness into the roof of the mouth and imagine it softening, spreading out towards the teeth and gums, and lengthening back towards the throat. And finally, bringing your awareness to the breath. I'm going to ask you to do just regular breathing. Nothing fancy, no deep breathing. Regular breath in, followed by a regular breath out. I want you to observe your exhale. And doing so without judgment. Just simply feeling, how does it feel to exhale? How does the rib cage feel? How does the space between your shoulder blades feel? As you breathe, are your collarbones moving or not? Is breath in your belly, your chest, or a combination of them both? So sometimes all it does take is just a minute or 2 of just settling in. So I want to address Adam's hips today. He said they're really tight on the sides, but looking at him, I can also tell he's really tight in his groin and front of the hips, and I'd be surprised if he was not also tight on the back side. So we're going to address that today. We're going to start with some pre-yoga. So Adam, I'm going to have you set all of your props aside. Now those of you at home, if you have a strap, make it into a giant loop and close off that loop. We are going to use rubber bands. You're going to scooch all the way down to the middle of the mat, get your feet to the end. Great. You're going to grab this, wrap it around the heel of your left foot, and then put it in the circle, the knee in the circle, stretch it out, get it all the way up to your groin, and you're going to lay down. So for those of you who are familiar with alignment yoga, what we're about to do is one of our pre-yoga exercises. So you're going to have your knee over your hip, and we're going to take the heel up towards the ceiling, and then we're going to come down. So your goal is to keep the knee over the hip. You're not trying to really get a stretch in your hamstrings. We're simply trying to get movement in because we're doing a few things here. So we're doing traction on the thigh bone to create length in the psoas. And then the pumping up and down brings blood into the psoas. So the psoas is a muscle, keep going Adam, deep in the groin. It is underneath your guts, and it's going from the lesser trochanter on the thigh bone up to the lumbar spine, and I think one of the thoracics too. So it's deep in the belly underneath your guts. So Adam, you're doing a great job. Next time heel comes up, I'm going to have you pause for 5, 4, 3, 2, less effort, 1.
Okay.
Come on down. I want you to completely remove your rubber band. Lay back down.
Nope. Okay.
So tell me,
Yes.
how does it feel, right leg versus left leg? Put your head down.
I definitely felt it in the leg.
Yeah.
Of course, it feels like I got a workout.
And what do you observe now?
I feel the workout right in here,
Uh-huh.
and feels a little more relaxed.
So I don't know if you can see this from the camera, but I can visibly see one leg now is longer than the other. Can you feel that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do the other side.
That's weird.
So lasso the heel of the right leg. Left knee goes inside, all the way up to the groin. Yep, so when you're taking that rubber band in, right up to that hip crease. Lay down. Yep. Knee over the hip. Knee up over the hip.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you. And we're going to start to go up and down. So one thing you can't see from here, probably, is that Adam has a little bit of projected head. And I know he has projected head, which is a postural thing, right? Because his cheekbones and chin are higher than his forehead. So he kind of looks like he's like laying like this. So I just gave him a little bit of blanket, little cushion underneath. So again, we're doing traction of the thigh bone. And we're pumping blood into the psoas and the iliacus, deep in the groin, deep in the belly, underneath the guts.
Feels really good.
Yeah, it does feel good. So sometimes when people do this, and I can see it happening in Adam, he's shaking a little bit. So I'm going to say, less effort. Don't make this hard. The next time you come up, you're going to pause for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stay on the ground, remove your rubber band, and set it aside. And once again, take on that role of observer, and observe. How's it feel? Do the legs feel the same length?
Yeah, now they feel it.
Good, good. So the next thing we're going to do, because my eyes immediately go to his shoulders, he's got some rounded shoulders. So we're going to do shoulder wake up. So again, this is an alignment yoga, pre-yoga exercise. All of our pre-yoga exercises are meant to strengthen the body in some way. In India, where yoga comes from, they are walking, sitting on the floor, riding bikes, squatting. They're using their bodies differently than we are here in the United States and in the West. We sit in chairs, we drive around in our cars, we sit on couches. We do not have the inner strength that other people in other countries that move more do. So we're going to work on releasing some of the anterior shoulder tension with our pre-yoga exercise called shoulder wake up. So we did the psoas wake up, now we're going to wake up the shoulders. So Adam, you're going to take your left hand straight up towards the ceiling, palm facing midline. So the first thing I see is Adam's shoulder is kind of like forward like this, so I want you to bring your shoulder down to the floor. There we go, look at that. I hope there's enough room here. So, first movement, you're going to take your arm overhead, slowly, 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 until you're about 6 inches over the floor, and you're going to hover.
Right about there.
You're good, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can feel that.
Slow motion, take it back up. Next movement, directly out to the side, towards me. Slowly, resisting gravity, stopping about 6 inches over the floor. And take it back up. Slowly. Again, slowly, down towards the hip. Oh, slow. And pausing over the floor. So what you might be seeing is that Adam's movements are a little jerky. right? So that gives me an indication that he's got tension in the shoulders. Slow motion, take it back up.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. And next movement, Adam, you're gonna take your hand out towards me, about 6 inches, or straight out to the side, maybe this
Alright.
way, and then back up to the ceiling. So a short movement, you're just coming out a little bit and going back up. So what we're trying to do is wake up very specifically the four muscles of the rotator cuff. So these are the muscles that make a sandwich around your shoulder blade. You should be feeling this, keep going. You should be feeling this on the back side of the shoulder. And when we get the rotator cuff working efficiently, it gives permission to the anterior shoulder, specifically pec major and minor, to stop working so hard. One more time out to the side and back up. And slowly bring your hand down, and then I want you to leave your palm turned up. So, let's be a little more relaxed about it.
Okay.
So now observing your body, left shoulder versus right shoulder. Do they feel different?
Yes.
Good. All right, so slow motion, bring that right arm up towards the ceiling. So take a moment, make sure that you're getting into gravity, shoulders on the floor. And inhale is going to slow motion, bring that arm overhead. Hover over the floor, about 6 inches. And then slowly bring it back up, slowly, good. Next movement, take it out to the right. Hover over the floor. And gracefully coming back up. And now reaching down towards your toes, slowly, slowly, coming down. Hovering the hand near the hip, resisting gravity. And take it back up, nice and slow. Good. Shoulder on the floor. Slow motion, 6 inches out to the side. And back to center. So what I oftentimes see happen is the small muscles in the body compensate for large muscles not doing their job well. So oftentimes I see rotator cuff not kicking in well and overly tight, because the latissimus dorsi, the big lat muscle here, is not working well. So we're going to work on strengthening his lats so that the little muscles that hold the joint together can do so easily. One more out to the side, back to center, and gently release the arm down and palm up. So generally speaking, if you're going to be laying on the floor, or if you sleep like this, you know, when we have anxiety and high tension in the body, oftentimes we want to bring the hands in, we want to cover our gut or our chest. And when we do that, it shortens the pec minor in the chest. So when we externally rotate the arm and have palms up, it gives this little muscle a chance to relax. How you feeling?
Great.
Good, all right.
Really good.
So I'm going to have you now move onto your hands and knees with your head facing the camera. So even though I know he's strong, I'm going to assume that he's not, because I know that there's going to be imbalances in his body. So Adam, I want you to take your hands a little wider. How about you have your pinkies right to the edge? There you go. And why don't you spread your fingers out a little bit? Yeah, look at that. So I'm going to start with a little pawing and clawing. So if these are our paws and these are our claws, just like a cat, you're going to put your palm down and then your fingers, just like a cat would need. So you're going to paw and claw. So it's not that you have to take your hand up and down, but it's like a pressure of pressing and then gripping.
Oh,
And as you press and grip, observe. So it looks like this. This is what I'm doing to the floor. Just like your cat would, right? So as you do that, Adam, just observe. What's happening in the shoulder?
So after I claw, I press.
So yeah, so you're just pawing and clawing.
Okay.
pawing and clawing. So do
Okay.
one hand and then the other. Yep. So less effort.
Okay, let's do
Yeah. So basically what I want you to feel is how when you're engaging your palm and your fingers,
Right.
you get muscles kicking in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you feel that?
Yep, I see.
Okay. So now I'm going to assume that your lats aren't strong. So I want you to start bending your elbows, draw them in a little bit towards each other. You're going to hover 2 inches over the mat.
Oh, yeah, that feels good.
Yep, and let your
Get rid of
weight
it.
really kind of fall forward and then slowly come back up. Good. So that's all I want you to do. So for those of you at home, all you're doing is coming down, hovering the elbows over the mat and coming back up. A few more like this.
That feels really good in my shoulders and
Yeah, we're starting to get muscles kicking in. So we want these big lat muscles here to work in conjunction with the rest.
God, that feels amazing, honestly. I can tell my shoulders and
Yeah,
arms need this. Oh, yeah.
good. This next time that you come down,
Mhm.
elbows all the way to the floor. Good, turn toes under. Press your hips up towards the ceiling.
Oh, boy.
You can do it. And knees right back down to the floor. Good.
Oh, buddy.
Good job. So inhale up onto the hands and knees.
Whew.
Turn toes under. Exhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Inhale, knees back down to the floor. Flatten out the feet. Send your hips back towards your heels. Elbows come down to the floor. Head curls down. Inhale, head, shoulders, hips up. All the way up onto the hands and knees. Turn toes under. Lift the hips up. So, bend your knees at them. Turn your sit bones up towards the ceiling. Inhale down to the knees. Exhale, elbows all the way to the floor. Hips up towards the ceiling. Knees back down to the floor. Hips down towards the heels. Inhale onto the hands and knees. So coming to tabletop. Flip the toes under. Hips up towards the ceiling. Downward facing dog. Soft knees.
Soft knees, okay.
Sit bones turn up. And come
Try
back
it.
down to your knees. Good. So I want you to sit back on your heels if your body allows. And sit up with your chest. Ooh. Not quite. I'm going to give you 2 blocks to sit on.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what I'm looking for, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Tabletop. Down. Dolphin or elbow dog. Down to the knees. Curling back to child's pose. Up. Downward facing dog. So this is a really nice sequence to just kind of like warm up the shoulders, warm up the hips, warm up the legs. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's just going to be like a nice warm up.
Yeah.
And if you just want to have a like simple, gentle practice, just those few are going to be plenty to do. That could be a nice one for bedtime or when you're waking up, just to like wake everything up. Our forward bends are going to be calming to the nervous system. Our back bends are going to be more stimulating.
Well, it felt great because that really hit the areas that I'm tight in, and I'm sure a lot of people are tight in.
Uh-huh.
You know, like the back, and when I did the dolphin,
Yeah.
you know, all the way, you know, I'm tight in the hamstrings, I'm tight in
Yeah.
the back, so that, I mean, that really hit everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was great.
So we're going to play around with down dog a little bit. There's a lot of different things I like to do to like play around with easing the tension out of the back side of the body. So come forward onto the hands and knees again. And I'm going to have you turn your toes under and push your hips up towards the ceiling. Okay, so I want you to really focus on soft knees, right? We don't have to like pull the hamstrings tight. In fact, sometimes I think it's better not to. So now I want you to pretend you're wearing high heel shoes.
Okay.
Heels way up high. Good. And now let your heels sink towards the floor. High heels on. And flats. Good. So for guys, oftentimes, you know, they don't exactly have experience. Keep going with that up and
Okay.
down. wearing high heels, right? And even a lot of us gals, we don't wear high heels either. But we know that imagery, right? So you're just basically taking your ankle, you're bending and straightening the ankle. I still want his knees bent. I still want to lengthen the spine. Good. And get to a comfortable spot.
Okay.
Now, I want you to take your hips and sway your hips side to side a little bit. And observe what happens in your armpits.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love teasing out tension. So slow it down a little bit.
Okay.
Find that spot that feels really good, right? Teasing out the tension, right? Because we're trying to create length on a side body now. And at the same time, he's going to feel it on the back side. Good. Do you need a break?
Yep.
All right. Come back down to the knees. Good. Have a seat.
Woo!
How'd that feel?
Great.
Yeah.
That really feels good.
Yeah, so his body is going to look different than my body in it because I'm a little bit more bendy. So when I come into this, I can go way up on my toes and then heels to the floor. I have a lot more bend in my joints. And then when I go to side, I really take my hips side to side and I kind of play with my knees a bit too. Different bodies are going to look differently in our yoga poses. I have nothing underneath my hips but my heels in the floor. Adam's on 2 blocks. So, different bodies, and that's okay. So next, Adam, I want you to lay down on your back, head towards the camera.
Okay.
Knees bent, feet on the floor. Alright, so let's take the arms to the side. That's fine. Okay, and drop the knees slowly side to side
Oh, yeah.
for windshield wipers. So you may not have seen that, but he just brought his heels into his bum, and so I'm going to have you come back to center and stop,
Okay.
and take your feet away a little bit. We want this position to be one of ease. Now gently drop the knees side to side, like there's a light mist,
Oh, okay.
right? Because we're teasing out the tension, we're not forcing it, right? This is the difference oftentimes between, I'm going to say, a male and a female perspective. Maybe the male wants to be a little more yang, right? A little more aggressive, where the female is a little more yin, a little more gentle. Because I want you to tap into, I'm not saying your feminine side, but
No.
the gentle side of you, right?
Well, I think that's important too.
Absolutely.
To learn how to do that, because you're right. My tendency is like, oh, go all the way until I feel it.
Get it really
You know?
strong, stretched.
But
Yeah.
this makes sense.
Yeah, right, because I want to tease the tension out because our tension builds over time. So we're going to decrease it slowly over time. Good. How's that feeling?
Really good.
Good.
You know, and just bringing my awareness to not having to go
So hard.
so hard
Yeah.
is actually nice, because that's how I feel I have to do it. But when you mention, you know, going a little softer, teasing out the tension, it's probably better.
Slow down.
Oh, there's, see, I
Yeah,
have
and
a
that's
tendency
okay.
to go faster.
Good. And coming back to center. So I want you to lift both knees up to the chest, put your hands around your knees, and you're going to exhale, pull them in towards your chest gently. Your inhale is going to release them a little bit. Yeah. So you're not trying to take out all the tension right away. Just gently hugging in and out. So your exhale brings the knees in. Your inhale creates space for the belly to lift with the inhale. So the next one you're going to do is something I call sacrum circles. So you're going to put your hands on top of your kneecaps.
Good.
Yep. And I want you to lengthen your arms so it feels like your sacrum is on the floor. So your sacrum is the bottom triangle of your spine.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is move as slow as humanly possible, bringing your knees in a circle. So for those of you who struggle with chronic low back pain, this is a money pose. So technically this is a Feldenkrais move that I was taught years and years ago when I had chronic low back pain. This was one of 3 things I did to resolve that chronic pain. So you might be seeing that Adam's circles are a little jagged. So Adam, I'm going to ask you to smooth it out.
Okay.
Make it as graceful as you can. Right? Slow it down. Good. So basically, if this is my sacrum and we're doing this on the floor, we're teasing out the tension all the way around it. So if you find a spot that wants to kind of like skip over, or it feels lumpy, or it just feels extra good, I want you to pause there.
Okay.
You can even kind of like go back and forth over it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
nice and slow.
Feeling that jerkiness you were talking about when I
Yeah.
try to go slow.
Yeah, because it takes effort, right?
Right.
Because when you go slower, your muscles actually have to work harder. So pause here at the bottom of the circle, change direction. Nice and slow.
It's not easy to go smooth. If, at least for me, because I'm sure I need a lot of work. Oh, yeah, right there.
I want you to complete one more circle. And place your feet on the floor. Good. How's that feel?
Feels good.
Good.
It actually feels like I have more circulation coming through here. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely it
Feels
does.
good.
So I want you to take your right heel, put it over your left knee. There you go. And the first thing I want you to do is just gently rock.
Okay.
Gently. So now we're going to get into some of that tension in his hips and really targeting glute medius on the side, the TFL, tensor fascial latte. So the next thing I want you to do is keeping the ankle over the knee. I want you to reach around and grab onto the back side. So lift up that left knee. There you go, hanging on. And you're going to gently on your exhale pull in, on your inhale release. Can you reach it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely feel it in the hip, but it feels good. Oh.
So I call this just 4 corner stretch. And then I want you to play with this knee,
Okay.
little circles.
Little circles. Well.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, that feels really nice.
Yeah. And then change direction of your circles. And releasing your thigh, place your right foot back on the floor. So just take a moment and observe, how does one heel or hip, feel versus the other?
Yeah, definitely. I can feel that this is much more relaxed.
Yeah, opened up,
Yes,
a little more blood flow.
definitely.
All right, right heel or left heel over the right knee.
This is my tight hip here.
Okay, so let's just start with a little gentle rocking, right?
Like this? Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah,
right. That's
just easy, side to side. So for some people at home, if you, like Adam, he couldn't just take his foot and just flip it over. So he reached and pulled it over. So there's no right or wrong. If you have to lift it up to pull it over, then by all means, please do. If you get pain in your knee, try taking your foot and wrapping around the knee over here. So next you're going to lift up, grab onto the back of the thigh, and gently pull in and out.
Inhale in, was it?
Exhale to pull in,
Exhale.
inhale to release. So let's say you have barriers to reaching. Maybe you have a little bit more of a belly. If you had a strap, you can always put a strap around the thigh if you need to. Or if you don't even actually have to hang on, you could also just draw it up. So let's play with some circles. Circles in the other direction. And come back down to the floor. And just lay here for a moment and observe how it feels.
Feels great.
Yeah. Alright, so lasso your left foot now around the ball of the foot. So the widest part of the foot. And you're going to take it up towards the ceiling. So I want you to hang on like reins, like you're on like a horse. Okay, now shoulders down to the floor. Okay, so I want you to lower your heel till your foot's in line with the mantle. Alright, so I want you to pause here. So I'm going to adjust this to get around the widest part of the foot.
Gotcha.
So you're working on lengthening the backside of the leg, but in a way that it's not causing your muscles to shake,
Okay.
right? So having some bend in the knee is just fine.
Okay.
So what you're going to do now is start to draw towards the head, right? So tease it out. Okay, so you feel how that wants to give?
Yeah.
Less effort. So Adam's pretty tight back here, so I'm going to give him actually 2 rubber bands. There you go. Does that feel a little better?
Yeah.
A little more support?
Yeah.
So if you had at home your strap, you're going to have your strap around.
I have to remember to keep my shoulders on the ground too. 'Cause
Yeah, the shoulders
really
want to
helps.
start doing this. But if we have the shoulders back, we're going to get more stretch in the hamstring.
When I come up, I can feel it in my back. Feels
Yes.
good.
So technically, the fascia, the back line of the fascia goes from the foot all the way up, literally around the hip, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up to the eyebrow.
Oh wow.
So if you wanted to take this a little bit further, you can just pause here, take a breath in, lift the head up as you exhale. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
hello.
feels great.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing here, head down, and coming back down. So again, observe. Is one side of the back longer than the other?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It is.
Lasso this foot around the ball of the foot, so the widest part of the foot. Send your heel up first towards the mantle, towards the mantle, towards the mantle, right? So first we're creating length,
Okay.
all right? Shoulders back to the floor. Yeah. Yeah, so just slowly teasing it. So for some people, they're going to move this far or not at all. Creating a stronger pull does not necessarily mean a better stretch. I think as soon as you feel the stretch, that's a great place to stop. Just because you can go really far doesn't mean you really need to. So, for example, in my bendy body, I can reach with my hands, or I can just straighten my leg. And, you know, I can go quite far. But is that the best thing for me? I'm going to go ahead and say no, it's not. And I know that from experience. For me personally, that's a great way to get my SI joints aggravated, your low back, sacroiliac joints. So when I do this practice, mine is about containment, not going as far as I can.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah, breathe. Soften your elbows. Good. And come on down.
Oh, it feels so good in the
Good.
back.
And remove here.
So good.
Good. Set that aside. And again, observe. Hopefully we have two sides of the spine that are the same length as each other.
Yeah, they feel even, and, oh, my back feels really good right now.
Yeah,
Feels
so
great.
let's take it a little step further. I want you to slide your arms slightly away from your body. Inhale, lift your knees up towards your chest. And exhale, drop your knees towards your right elbow. So we're going to the right first to give the liver a big old squeeze. Is this as far as you go?
That's it.
That's it, okay. So I'm gonna give him some support here. How's that feel?
Pretty good. Could probably go like right up there, actually. So I don't stretch it too much.
Okay.
Feeling it right in here.
Yeah, I bet you are. All right, I'm gonna remove this. And I'm gonna have you turn your head.
Okay. Whew, definitely feeling that.
Yeah. So, Adam, use your inhale to breathe into the tension and your exhale to soften. One more like this. Your next inhale is going to bring your knees back to center. And exhale over to the other side. Your knees come up towards the elbow as you come down. Is that a good support spot?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So again, different bodies, different poses.
Are your knees all the way to the ground?
Yep, they sure
Wow.
are.
Oh, wow.
Inhale up. Exhale to this side. So in twist, our spine is designed by nature to have lots of twistability in the neck, medium in the thoracic spine, the middle spine, and not very much, if any, at all in the lumbar. So we want to protect the lumbar at all costs, right? It's our core, it's the main area of stability. So by having the block between his knees, it's going to keep the hips a little more even with each other. Inhale back to center. Exhale to the other side. Knees up as you come down. Good.
Is this somewhere I try to keep my shoulders towards the ground as well, or?
No.
Okay.
So in a lot of people, when they come into the pose, their arm might even, oftentimes what we'll see is an arm way up here,
Okay.
right? And that's fine. For those of you who are like that, you can always support with a block, blanket, any pillow, cushion, whatever you got. But if your body allows, by all means, it's okay to go a little further. Come on back to center, remove your block, and come up to sitting. So grab your cushions, and you're going to sit cross-legged. So again, use the blocks for support. So we're going to do a seated twist next.
Great.
Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, chin only to the right. Looking over the right shoulder. Inhale back to center. And exhale, chin over the left shoulder. Inhale back to center. Next, inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, chin to the right. And when it feels like your neck is turned as far as it comfortably wants to go, then you're going to slowly invite your shoulders to come along for the ride. Starting to twist the shoulders to the right. You can let your arms follow along. Eventually, left arm to the right knee. There you go. Good job with that block. All right, so maintain this position. So to protect the low back, we're going to maintain that twist to the right, but you're going to take your waistline and your belly button and spiral it back to the front. So, belly button. Think about belly button coming back around. So that's going to ring the spine out. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, unwind back to center. Good. At center, inhale, sit tall. Exhale, chin first to the left. And then slowly invite thoracic spine. And then to protect the lumbar, drawing the belly button back to the front. Next, inhale, sit tall. And exhale, unwind to the front. All right, so we're going to end up in one last pose, and that is corpse pose, so the final relaxation pose.
All right.
So go ahead, lay down on the mat, head on either end, does not matter to me.
Okay.
Lay on your back. So you're going to use this cushion underneath your knees to give a little lumbar support. Good. So a couple things for your final pose. One, get all your clothes comfy. Two, palms up, right?
Oh yeah.
Because remember, we want to give this inhale muscle, pec minor, a chance to soften. We also want those groin muscles that we worked on a chance to soften too, so letting the thighs be comfortable and externally rotating the thighs. So, as you can see, we gave him a little bit of cushion. I'm going to just prop him just a little more to give a little bit more support. Better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you warm enough? Do you need a blanket?
I'm definitely warm enough.
Okay, you're warm enough. So a lot of people in this pose, they get cold. So if you have a blanket, feel free to cover up with a blanket. And go ahead, close your eyes. So for people with anxiety, this can be a really hard pose because you're supposed to lie here and be quiet and do nothing. And for those of us who have anxiety, this can be anxiety producing. So I'm going to do some distraction techniques to help you with that. So first and foremost, let your body feel real heavy. Let the legs feel the support of the floor, the support of something underneath your knees if you have it, and allow your hips to feel real heavy. Allow the floor to come up and make friends with your back, and just allow the back to feel comfortable on the floor. Invite the shoulders and the arms to soften, and lying here should feel fairly effortless. You'll see Adam's fingers are gently curled. That's a good sign of relaxation. So if you're laying here with your hands rigidly open, please soften your hands. And coming to the breath, easy breath. No fancy yoga breathing. I don't even want you to deep breathe forcefully. Allow the body to breathe itself. Allow that internal intelligence to do the work. Soften the roof of the mouth. Allow the head to give in to gravity, inviting all 8 to 10 pounds of it to feel the support of your pillow or simply the floor. And allow the back side of the body to make contact with the floor or anything you have underneath you for support. And then the front side of the body, allow it to feel spacious, almost as if like a helium balloon. It could expand upward towards the ceiling and outward in all directions. And that's it. If lying here is challenging for you, then if you can lay here for 30 to 90 seconds, bravo. If you can lie here for 10 to 20 minutes, kudos. There's no right or wrong, and we all have different nervous systems. So if lying here gives you a lot of anxiety, just stay here for a short bit, right? Because part of what we're trying to do is retrain the body, the mind, the neuroplasticity of our brain to react a little differently in the world. And we do this breath by breath, pose by pose. It's not going to be like this, aha, all of a sudden my anxiety's all gone. No, we have to chip away at it. Just like as if we were tunneling into the mountain. It's going to take a while. But trust in the process. Trust that your internal intelligence knows what to do, and all it needs is some gentle prodding. So, next inhale, bend your knees, bring your feet onto the floor. Gently roll to one side or the other and come up to a seated position.
Get all my gear here because I'm so. Oh, there we go. All right. Ooh, feeling relaxed. That's for sure.
Yeah, so let's just check in. How do you feel differently from when we started?
Oh, I feel a ton more relaxed. I can tell there's a lot of tension out of my shoulders, my back, my hips.
Yeah.
Actually, just sitting here right now,
You look more
My-
comfortable.
when I first sat down today, I felt pain in my left hip.
Yeah.
Now it's not there. It's,
Yay!
wow,
So,
that's great.
this is beginning yoga. This is simple yoga. Like, we didn't even stand up. We didn't do any sun salutations. And he feels different. He feels better. So one of the things I really want to convey with stubborn yoga is it does not have to be this intense, complex practice. We did, what, a half a dozen poses, and he feels better. If all you have time for, 1, 2, 3 poses, that's fine, right? You have to adapt any kind of movement practice to what you're able to do. If your anxiety is high and you give yourself 20 poses to do just perfectly, guess what? Your anxiety is going to go up. So we're trying to down-regulate your nervous system. We're trying to bring that anxiety down. So keep it simple, make it easy, and make it a great day.